In this raw and deeply honest conversation, Keylynne Matos-Cunningham, a licensed trauma therapist, former public health professional, and dance-loving entrepreneur, shares how walking away from a dream racial justice and public health role became an act of survival. She traces her path from burnout, workplace trauma, and suicidal ideation to rebuilding her life as a trauma therapist, integrating EMDR and brainspotting, and reclaiming her lived experience as a clinical superpower. Along the way, she offers a sharp public health lens on racism, complex trauma, and ACEs, and names a future vision rooted in liberation, collective care, and a nervous system that no longer has to live in crisis mode. You're listening to the Courageous Public Health Podcast, episode 34.
To all the courageous Black, Indigenous, and women of color leading in public health, this podcast is your space to turn up the volume on your courage. This space centers your voice. This space celebrates your passion. This space amplifies your courage. My role? To listen, to amplify, and to stand with you in the fight for equity. My name is Dr. Christy McClamrock. I'm an epidemiologist, consultant, the founder and CEO of Courageous Public Health, and the host of the Courageous Public Health Podcast. Each week, I have unfiltered conversations with BIPOC women in public health about the challenges you face, the power you hold, and your vision for the future. We talk about the authenticity, vulnerability, and courage that you bring, not just to public health, but to every part of your lives. Because courage is about action, even in fear. It's about taking up space, leading unapologetically, refusing to be erased, and knowing you never have to do it alone. If you're ready to turn up the volume on your courage, if you're ready to take up space, if you're ready to smash the racist, patriarchal, cisnormative, heteronormative, ableist, capitalistic systems, then let's dive into this brand new episode.
Thank you for joining me on this episode. I'd like to start by introducing myself if you're brand new to the podcast, or reintroducing myself if you're a returning listener. My name is Dr. Christy McClamrock, and I am the CEO of the Courageous Public Health Consulting Firm, where we support public health organizations through workshop design and facilitation and speaking engagements. I am so excited to introduce you to my guest on this episode. Let me formally introduce her, and then we'll jump right into our conversation.
Keylynne Matos-Cunningham is a public health scholar turned mental health clinician whose work bridges healing justice, trauma-informed care, and community wellness. With master's degrees in public health and clinical mental health counseling, she brings a powerful understanding of how systems shape our mental health and what it takes to heal beyond them. After experiencing burnout and moral injury in the public health world, Keylynne shifted into clinical work to practice liberation through embodied, culturally grounded healing. She is the creator of the Feel So You Can Heal framework, a trauma-informed model that guides emotional processing, somatic liberation, and empowered boundaries for deep, sustainable transformation. As founder of Thrive by Us, Keylynne uses therapy, storytelling, and community care to help Black and marginalized communities reclaim well-being on their own terms. Her voice challenges the status quo while offering a compassionate vision for what public health could be: human, liberatory, and rooted in truth. Ready to be inspired? Let's listen to my conversation with Keylynne Matos-Cunningham right now. Hello, Keylynne. I'm so excited to have you here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So you are someone who I found on LinkedIn. I invited you based on your LinkedIn posts, which really caught my attention. And I think we're going to talk about why, but I'll just say that, you definitely have stuff on LinkedIn that caught my attention and made me say, this is someone I get to have a conversation with.
Yes. I'm just glad that, you know how you kind of battle with whether or not, like, what you're going to share, how you're going to share it.
Absolutely.
I'm just glad that, like, the the courage that I just said, let's just post it. Let's see what happens. And this is what's
And this is
happening.
what's
So it's
happened. Look what you created with your post. I love it. I
yeah.
love it. So, yeah, let's start with you introducing yourself.
Yes. So my name is Keylynne, and I currently reside in Houston, Texas. I am a licensed trauma therapist. I used to formerly work in public health full time in the racial justice, health equity space. I decided to make a career transition. More about me and the nonsensical stuff. I love astrology.
Okay.
For anyone who's listening, who's into the stars, I am a Leo rising, Libra moon, Pisces sun, and I used to own a dance studio, so I love to dance, and I am a dog mom to Peso, PE dollar sign. Oh,
I love it.
because my little, small little Shih Tzu
Oh my
poodle,
gosh.
and that's my baby boy.
I I love it. So,
Oh, and I forgot, I love blush.
oh, right.
I feel like I am certified in blush placement and all of the things. I'm just a lover of blush, and so I also create beauty content online.
Yeah. So, I feel like a blush, like I'm completely blush naive. So at some point, I'm gonna have to like check out that content to learn how to appropriately blush myself,
Yeah.
because that's usually the thing that like I'll do everything else and then I'll be like, I don't really know how to, and then I won't do any blush. So, I do have cheeks. You just can't really; they just don't stand out.
Blush will
Blush
help.
will
Blush
help.
will
Blush will
help.
help. That's great. And I was just imagining you calling your vet and making an appointment for your dog and being like, no, it's PE dollar sign. Oh, it's like, yeah, it is. That's great.
It's so ridiculous, but I knew when I got them that that's what I would call
I,
them. My little dollar
yeah,
sign.
I mean, I think that's fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so let's jump into the first question here. So I like to start by reminding everyone about the difference between bravery and courage. So, bravery is taking action without fear, while courage is taking action despite fear. And I find that I get to really like lean into courage more than I get to lean into bravery because the fear is real, right? So I would love for you to share some experiences from your personal life, from your professional life, where you have acted courageously.
Yes. Um, so some of the first things that come to mind are some of the first things that come to mind include my choice to leave public health and the way that I existed in it before. Working in racial justice, working in health equity in the pandemic. Yeah, it was a time. It was a really, really hard time. And um I found myself not only like physically sick, but mentally unwell and experiencing burnout. I mean, hands shaking behind the camera, jaws locking in meetings. I'm crying when I like turn my camera off. And I found myself wanting to make change more intimately. And it disturbed me because I knew what that meant, and I knew that I had to start over and pivot. So I avoided it for as much as I could. And being in a place where you're experiencing workplace trauma, while I'm very valued, like I'm very rooted in my values. Going back to astrology, I'm a Libra moon, so like justice is really, really important to me. The scales being balanced and authenticity is really important to me. And so when I find that we are positioning ourselves as experts in equity and well-being and doing the good work contract wise, but then internally our house is not in
Yeah.
order and that were not being treated fairly. I was on a team of, I think, maybe 4 or 5, and I was the lowest paid. But we all had master's degrees. So, like, there was no differential in our credentials, our experience, and somehow I still ended up overlooked for years.
Yeah.
And being on edge, like the Sunday scaries and the being on edge when you're at work, like, this is an email from this person. Am I being scolded? Being made to feel very small. And that's why I'm so grateful for, our pre-convo where you said bring your full self, because my relationship with public health hasn't included that
Yeah.
previously. And so I'm thankful for your invitation to do that. But
Thank you.
I decided to pivot and change
Yeah.
careers and start over. I went from being 8 years into a career, which is nearly, I think some would say, like
Yeah.
mid-level, upper mid-level. I was like interviewing for director
Yeah.
roles and started over to be an intern.
Yeah.
An
An intern.
intern.
Yeah.
It was so humbling. But it took a lot of courage because I was scared every step of the way. Like, there were so many times where I was like, I have majorly
Yeah.
like, I have ruined myself. Like, you're it's
Yeah.
bad. It's
Yeah.
terrible. Especially because counseling programs require you to intern.
Mhm.
A lot of interns, and we'll go on a different tangent. We'll be here all day if I talk about the disparities within counseling, the counseling
Sure.
profession and associate interns and so on. But I have this motto of, like, through fire.
Mm.
Like, by force or by fire, I'm going to get through it. And so knowing that that was going to be all that I was going to embark on, and to leave a very, like, padded salary
Yep.
career, go to a different type of
Yep.
wavelength, I was scared. I thought I was going to lose it all.
Yeah.
And truth be told, in some regard, someone might say that I did, but I don't regret it, not for a single second. And, like, I remember when I was interning, I was doing like a workplace wellness event. Um, and I was telling her, like, oh, I used to do like workplace wellness, consulting, etc. And she was like, oh, you're starting your career over? And I'm like, yep. Mhm. And she was like, that's so brave. And I'll never forget that, because I remember sitting there like, brave. I'm doing this because I need to.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this because I just want to start a new challenge
Right.
and I'm bored and all these things. No, I'm doing this out of survival, because otherwise I don't think that I would have made it had I not made a different choice, especially as a person who struggles with their mental health
Sure.
and had suicidal ideations in the past, and being a survivor of a suicide attempt. I am very grateful that whatever little bit that I had in my tank, I bet on it.
Ugh.
And I tried to, like, be one foot in public health and one foot in counseling. It didn't work.
Yeah.
It just simply didn't work. And I ended up losing my job, and I cashed out my retirement. Thankful to very young and ambitious me that didn't know what to do with her money. So she just padded her retirement,
Beautiful.
because cashed out my
Yeah.
retirement, and I decided to be all in. And I don't regret that, because I have never felt more prepared for a career in my life. I can do what I do as a counselor in my sleep, because I put everything into being sharp and clinically sound.
Mhm.
I made investments into trauma-specific trainings, because trauma is my
Yeah.
specialty. And I'm grateful to have existed in a different career prior to, because it gave me knowledge on how to navigate grad school.
Mhm.
It gave me knowledge on how to how to navigate, like, this is how you excel in your career. You've already done it.
Yes.
You've already
Yeah.
done it. In fact, there were so many times where I was interviewing for positions and there would be comments, particularly on like panel interviews, of like, how old are you? And I would say like 26, 27, and you want to be an assistant director? Yes, because I've already done the management stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
bored.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm
I'm
ambitious.
hungry.
And
Yeah.
like, I have ideas.
Yes.
And even running into that and people giving me feedback that like, you should stay where you are. Like, you should play it small.
Mm.
And like I said, I'm just grateful for the version of me that said, let's do it, let's commit, because we're still harvesting the fruit.
Yeah.
I can't say that we're just to the glory and just everything is sweet,
Yeah.
but we're still in the process of harvesting fruit. However, I'm so proud of what I've accomplished, what I've done, and to think that there's a version of me that thought that I was too broken to be a therapist
Mm.
because of my own lived experience of trauma.
Yeah.
Many of us are wounded healers.
Yeah.
And that could not be further from the truth. Like, not only do I counsel from a public health lens because it just never leaves you,
Yes.
but I have lived experience that is my superpower.
Yes.
And the transformations that I'm able to bear witness to, it's such a privilege.
Mm. Yeah.
Because it took resources to get higher education. To be educated in the first place is privilege.
Yes.
To expand your education beyond a bachelor's degree where there are no longer federal Pell Grants,
Right.
is a privilege. To do it again. To do it again is a privilege, and it's such an honor. So that's just one example of me being courageous.
I mean, that's some serious courage. That is some serious courage. And, you know, I was thinking about when you said that, you know, part of you thought that you were too broken to be a therapist, or too broken in some ways to do this work. And, you know, I feel like women and for sure, women of color are socialized to believe that message. Like that's something that, you know, we're like told to believe, and it's just a belief, and we can choose to believe something different and then act on that new belief that actually works in our favor, that moves us towards our vision. Mm-hmm. I think that's so important. So it's like, you know, you for a period of time believed that, and then you decided to not believe that anymore.
Mm-hmm. And like rejected it. But also, when you're in a counseling program, or I'm just going to speak on counseling. I'm not any type of other therapist. I have love for my colleagues, right? But I don't know. But there's so much shedding that happens.
Yeah.
The first few years, oh my gosh, the first 2 years, there was a human development class. Mm. And I always said the two things that I didn't want to touch: children and grief. Again, because of lived experience. Grief, I suffered a loss and realized I don't ever want to see grief. Like, grief counseling, never want to do that. And then children, I don't want to do them. LOL.
Exactly. And then it was like, but trauma,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
And like trauma is inherently grief
It
ridden.
is.
Like it's all
Yeah.
grief. And I still don't specialize in children. However, um, when I think about like the shedding process, in one of the classes you go through human development all the way to the end of the
Yeah.
lifespan. And they told us not to use our personal story. They told us, do not, you have to create, like, you have to do a final project where you kind of narrate the lifespan, but like in a clinical way of an imaginary character. And I just did not have the mental juice to create something new. I just didn't. And when I went through each week of that class and realized like the things that I experienced that I should not have,
Yeah.
it was so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Especially for little Keylynne, because I have so much love for children. They're the most vulnerable population. And to be powerless, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And enduring these things and having these experiences and then seeing seeing how data
Yeah.
informs what's going to happen to people who experience
Yeah.
this. It does not look good.
Yeah.
It does not look good. When you think about ACEs, adverse childhood
Yep.
experiences, the more you have, the more likely you are to experience mental health challenges, substance use, obesity. And like when I see, hey, I took that off.
Right.
I cannot believe, are you okay, girl? And it's like the answer is no.
Yeah.
Thank you for catching up.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest, I think I used ambition and my career in my 20s as a way to cope.
Makes
Like
sense.
I can't be sad if I'm busy.
Yeah.
I can't be um inundated with my childhood trauma if I am excelling in my career, and now that I'm over 18, I figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and Solange um Solange has a song where she says, I think it's Cranes in the Sky. I tried to drink it away.
Mm.
I tried to smoke it away. I tried to work it away. And I tried to work it away. And then I found myself so unsatisfied.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
felt like I met my superhero in a way, but like not in the good way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, you've obviously done a lot of work on yourself, and I mean, it sounds like part of doing this pivot actually created more opportunity for you to then do the work on yourself to then
Absolutely.
be able to make a greater impact on people and certainly people who have experiences of trauma. I think I've mentioned this in maybe two episodes that I'm in the process of writing a book on inherited trauma in my family. And that's certainly one of the reasons that when I saw your posts, I was like, oh yeah, like I understand how much of an impact trauma can have on individuals, on health, on families, on communities. But I love that, like, part of that pivot for you has actually been part of your healing journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I'm a licensed therapist, but I'm also trained in EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapy, brain spotting. And these two modalities are experiential. So not only are you learning how to do it on somebody
Yeah.
else, you're in rotation
Yeah.
and you're healing, you're going deep
Yeah.
for hours on end on a weekend, on several
Yeah.
weekends. And having experienced these modalities as well, absolutely it helped in my healing, because I think when I first started seeing my old therapist, and we had to pivot because I want her to be my colleague and you can't be a client.
Right.
And so we had to pivot for that
Yeah.
reason. But either way, I told her I felt like an astronaut tethered to the moon or tethered to Earth, but like I'm
Yeah.
here, but body's
Yeah.
here. And I feel like I'm just loose, floating in space, and I want to come down so bad.
Yeah.
I wanted to come down so bad, and I was fighting for my life. I fought so hard. And when I think about how I feel like I am privileged to have this tenacity and resilience just in me, right? I recognize those that didn't have the fight, and I see them. And I see them.
Yeah.
And when I think about how important it is to, and my mind will never go away from public health as I counsel. And I would love for there to be more knowledge and more responsibility around healing, because, like you said, inherited trauma. I'm not just dealing with stuff that I've dealt with since I was born.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with the generation before me and the generation before me and the generation before me. And when you're the one breaking the curse, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I'm so inspired about your memoir.
Oh.
And I can't wait to put my hands on it.
Yeah. It's coming. It's coming. It's certainly been, I mean, I said to you before we started that, that writing that is part of this is one of my acts of courage. Starting the podcast, another act of courage. And yeah, so that is something that I'm doing for myself. It's something that I'm doing for the women in my family who've come before me. It's something that I'm doing for, others, but it's also part of it's like part of my healing journey, right? I love it when our healing journeys themselves can actually make an impact on other people. Like that's great.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
It just, for me, it feels like that's how we get closer to being more balanced.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the post that I saw from you was talking about self-care. You were talking about, this pivot that you made into counseling, and you framed it as self-care, and that you were, also looking at that work through a racial and equity lens, like a justice lens. And that is what got me. Like, that was like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I felt trapped.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what am I going to do? I've already, coming from a marginalized background, one thing that they really emphasize is like, go to school, get a job, get a house, you're going to be good. I'm not good.
Yeah.
I'm not good. Not good.
That's a pretty simplified formula there. Life is
so simple.
Not that. Yeah. Life is not that.
It's not that simple.
No.
And like being a first gen and like my family not particularly being able to relate to, how can I put it, to like workplace culture, because, having hours and getting
Yeah.
overtime was the goal,
Sure.
right? And like, well, I don't work on my feet.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting stress on my body. I'm not leaving an employer with herniated discs like my grandmother.
Yeah.
However, I'm undergoing psychological warfare,
Yeah.
is what it felt like. And I had to recognize, like, I can do all of this justice work. There will be no justice if I am not here.
Yep.
And I think a lot about, oh my gosh, I wish I could remember this woman's name. I believe she was a Black professor. I can't remember what institution, but it was still in the realm of public health, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. This woman, when I heard of her story and I saw that she had transitioned and I saw some of the context around it, I said, if I keep down this track, that's going to be me.
Yeah.
If I keep down this track, it's going to next. And I think part of the quote unquote strength of resilience is persevere, persevere, persevere. Like, don't get knocked down. However, I started to look at the responsibility that I had to myself of like, who am I trying to beat? Who am I trying to prove how strong I am? What if I don't want to be strong anymore? What if I just want to be me? And
Turns out that
it
you is
was.
pretty strong, by the way. But yes. Yes.
Thank you. But I needed to get out.
Yep.
Because I also believe that because I stopped believing in the work in that season, because of my lived experience at that
Yeah.
time, I'm not doing good work if I'm not bought in. You have to love.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to believe it beyond the funders asking you stupid
Yeah.
questions.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
You have to believe it beyond submitting the proposal so you can get the contract
Yeah.
for whatever consulting gig. And they're like, oh, we need to start next quarter or next fiscal
Yeah.
year. You need to believe it beyond programming and putting your heart and soul in programming, but the numbers not looking the way it needs to. And like sitting with that. And it's like, okay, even though I put all of my heart, soul, and love, because I was running a racial justice community that I loved, something is not right if we're experiencing this drop off. We have to fix something because there's a reason why we're not sustaining their interests. And I'll tell you another thing. I remember like switching employers, getting same kind of work, but just different
Yeah.
place. Getting out of what I felt like was a sinking ship into a little life rope because I was on my way to becoming a counselor. And I remember sitting in one meeting with, like the business development meetings, we're getting ready to contract, all the things. And I'm new to the role, so I'm just observing. And it was a very popular, very well-known organization. A lot of like well-known for-profit businesses have foundations or have, their nonprofit
Yeah.
arm. And this one had CEOs, higher ups in it. And they said, yeah, we made this claim in 2020 that we were going to invest and make sure that our programming does this, that, and the third. We said it. We did it. We rode the wave. We posted the black circle in what appeared to be alliance and allyship of Black Lives Matter. But we haven't done anything. We can pay you an extra $250,000 to make our report for our board meeting that is in 4 months look like we've done a lot. And my heart broke when I saw my new employer, the boss at that time, say, "We can do it. That works for us." And I remember realizing, like,
No.
no way. No way this is what's happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
No way this is how the business meeting goes. No
Yeah.
way. And, like, as a business owner, I certainly recognize how important $250,000
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
right? And what that could
Yeah.
do. But I just realized that I had to get out. And I had to choose me.
I think it's hard to hear. What you're saying, it's hard to hear. But that doesn't make it any less real, and it doesn't make it any less important to hear. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I think that, for those of us who are still working in public health, in maybe more traditional ways, I know, many of us, myself included, have had feelings about people who have pivoted away from traditional public health, right?
Mhm.
And we talk about the burnout and the stress. And then it's like, but then we've lost all these people in public health. And I feel like there is an opportunity for greater compassion and greater empathy for the public health professionals who realized that either for themselves, for their own health, or for their ability to make an impact, and probably it's not one or the other, and it's usually both, they needed to do something different. And that is honestly, like we may have feelings about like, oh, there are fewer of us and all of that stuff. And it's like part of the infrastructure unraveling and all of that stuff. And also it is important for people to be able to know what they need to do to take care of themselves and do what they need to take care of themselves. That is courageous. That is commendable. That is that's that's what we're all about in public health, right? Is like people taking care of their health and taking care of themselves. And so I really hope that people who listen to this episode, can get maybe a perspective that they haven't heard before, like your perspective. And you're still doing public health. You're just doing it, and we talked about this, like that lens is never going to go away. That public health lens is never going to go away. Yeah. And that, like people in public health also need to be able to connect and work with the people who are doing the work that is maybe not considered public health, but still has the public health lens. Like, my goodness, we gotta all be working together here. Yeah.
I really have to say, and it was so long ago, so I don't know if I missed this in the like intro public health classes. But I really think public health is a very, very close sister, cousin, first cousin to the psychology, social services, like mental health field.
Yeah.
And I think the medium is different.
Sure.
And maybe the scope and responsibilities. But I think public health like brings all of these social sciences together and like pushes forward the knowledge we know from sociology, anthropology, psychology, social work, so on and so forth. We have all of this knowledge about how they talk about the propensity to do this and health disparities here and sociology here. It takes that information, synthesizes it, and takes responsibility on how can we make sure from a macro level that we can take care of people and we can enable them to have health. Like, I will always love public health. In fact, I teach in a public health program. I love being a professor. I love students.
Love it.
I love expanding their mind and nurturing their gift and like the way they think about how you can make change.
Yeah.
And there are just so many ways to go about doing the work.
Yeah,
When
absolutely.
I was in my MPH program, my thesis was on barriers to mental health treatment in Black and Latino populations. It was literally titled, "Is mental health a public health problem?" Because I didn't see enough sources that said, yes, this is the issue for us. But we're seeing these reports that say Black men are dying by suicide at all new rates.
Right.
We're seeing gun violence like never before. Asthma. And when I learned that like there are a number, like public health is the fixer. And I loved being a fixer. I just realized that I wanted to fix intimately. I own a dance studio, so we're gonna pivot a little bit. I owned a dance studio. When I finished my MPH program, I had the mindset of like, okay, so what's next? I'm bored. And I didn't know what to do. And so I always had this dream. I've always loved dance and Honey, the movie series. I wanted a studio. And I tried to buy a house. In my defense, I tried to buy a house. They didn't accept my offer. In my defense, I tried to buy several houses. And they didn't. I kept getting bought out.
So you bought a dance studio instead?
I can't, and and it seems like a really irrational pivot, but hear me out. Like the startup costs for the studio were not the deposit required for a house. They just were. The numbers were completely different. And I just wanted to have a space. Like I like a little apartment, and of course I wanted to buy a house, but at this time I'm 24. I'm like, I'll just do it before 30. LOL, on that later. But I just want to do something fun. And like at a time where I was really battling depression in undergrad and really struggling, I originally went to school because I wanted to be a doctor. Typical doctor, lawyer, nurse, something like that. You're fed from a very young age, and I tried. Chemistry 1160. I had to take it 4 times. I 4 times. My advisor said you might, and I'm an alumna of East Carolina University. My advisor said, you may want to consider withdrawing and going to your local community college. That was so insulting. Like, girl, I understand that I can't pass this chemistry class, but it's not because I don't understand it. It's because I'm too depressed to get out of my bed to go to class. It's my attendance that is not helping here. We used to have clickers. I have no idea how college works now with all of this technology. But we used to have clickers that, like, you had to answer certain questions. And it wasn't just an attendance clicker from a perspective of like calling roll. Like you wouldn't get all your points if you didn't stay for the whole class. And trust me, I attempted to finesse the system. And the first time I took it, the second time, the third time, I just didn't have the gumption or wherewithal to try. And I just couldn't make it to class. And I couldn't sleep. So I surely can't make it to my 8 o'clock. Because I'm not sleeping at night. Because I'm not well. And When I graduated from school and had the opportunity to start over in my MPH program, I felt like, okay, now I'm in a better space as it relates to school.
Yeah.
I'm done with that. I'm bored. Let's do more. But when I was an undergrad, there was a modeling troupe that I was a part of that really helped me get out the house and find love for myself again. And I missed that so much. You couldn't be a part of the troupe anymore if you graduated. That was so
Okay.
sad to me. Why can't I'll pay dues? Why can't I be involved? I don't want to be home. Like I need a place. I'll pay extra. I'm an alumni. I'll pay for somebody else's dues. I got money now. But I wanted my own space. And it's so crazy because where we ended up was the third place that I tried. The first place, I got outbid by a Jamba Juice who wanted to just drop $30,000 and hold this space because they were considering using.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yo, you could just do that. That's not fair. I was here first. Whatever.
Your Jamba Juice, apparently you can.
Yeah, like wow. Didn't know that was an option. Then the second place, the day I was going to sign the lease with my realtor and my lawyer, the person didn't show up. So then we found a third place and it worked out. And I said, I am just going to see this through. I want to learn. And when you mentioned the difference between bravery and courage, that's exactly what came to my mind. I was brave. I wasn't scared at all. I figured the worst case scenario, I will file bankruptcy and I'll be good by the time I turn 30, 32, 35. I was not afraid at all.
Okay.
It was stressful.
Yeah.
It required a lot. Entrepreneurship is a lot.
Yes.
And it touched on many wounds in a way that you would have never expected.
Yeah.
Never. It was so hard for me to invest in a social media manager. I'm a millennial. I could do this. You cannot. You cannot. Just because you grew up on the internet in like the onset of the internet does not mean you have the specialty or expertise to execute this. And
you can't do all of it yourself too.
Yes. What I also learned is that when you are a solopreneur, but you need to run a company, you have time to be a CEO. I cannot be inundated with responding to inquiries and Instagram comments when I need to be a visionary. I need to look at our projections and see where we're going next.
Yes.
I need to create. And so I found myself unsettled after grad school. And I think a part of me used ambition to cope. Like, I can't be sad if I am just excelling and like getting degree after degree or getting career milestone after career milestone and impressing people because I'm a manager and I'm 24.
Yeah.
And I just found myself like, despite all of the ambition, just needing change. Like, I didn't need that anymore. I didn't need to hit any other career milestones anymore. I needed me.
Yeah.
So absolutely. It was self-care in its most liberating form.
Yeah.
And that's what this next chapter is for me. Liberation.
Yes. Yes, let's talk about the next chapter for you. That's the vision. That's the vision question, right? Like your vision your vision for public health, your vision for trauma-informed therapy, your vision for yourself. Talk to me about what that looks like.
So my vision for myself, I'm going to go ahead and put it out there.
Let's do it.
I want to be a mom.
I love that.
And like that's part of my healing, because younger 20s Keylynne, I'm not in my 20s anymore, but early 20s Keylynne, no, I don't want children. I can't be bothered. I'm the oldest child. So that just puts a little sprinkle of a story of what my experience was as the oldest daughter. And I'm the only girl.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
But nevertheless, I want to be a mom. Like personally, I'm affirming that, and not necessarily soon. Let me knock on some wood. Hold on. But it is my life's goal to be a mother. And so personally, I am preparing myself for that and working on my heart posture, because the reason why I love working with mamas in my work is because what happens in utero is so important.
Yes.
And there's just this big emphasis on like below age 6, below age 3, the attachment mind and things like that. And I'm like, also when mamas heal, they heal their garden of others.
Yes.
And like maternal child, again, public health.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Maternal child work emphasizes that mother's well-being is directly connected to child well-being.
Yep. And mother's trauma is directly connected to child's trauma.
Yes. And so personally, that's what I'm rooting for.
I love it. I'm rooting for you, mama.
Thank you.
Mama to be.
One day. And showing up for myself. One thing about living through crisis, and it's so funny because like every time I was in a new class for my counseling program, I got too much information. It was kind of like public health, but like you're in my business.
Yeah.
Like public health painted the story of picture of like the broader. Some of those classes for my counseling degree, you're in my business, and I don't like that. Get out of here. And I'll never forget, I was doing this one discussion board, and it just said, like, you know, choose from your chapters. I think it was in the beginning, and my crisis counseling book, and it talked about different crises. And up there was job loss. It was chapter 13.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm in crisis. I didn't know I was in crisis.
Yeah.
But I am in crisis, and thank you for putting words to it, because I have felt like these alarms are going off. And I say that to say that in this chapter, I am calling in that I can allow the alarms to turn off.
Yes.
I have, in order to get through my program, I had to go in self-preservation mode. I had to go into the minimally viable energy to make it through, because that is all I had. Like with what I was just coming up off of in the career transition, plus what I was enduring as far as job loss and insecurity. And like public health, again, it gave me a lot of knowledge. Many Americans are $500 away from homelessness while well employed.
Right.
So what is it for me? 20? That is stressful. And I'm a single person. Yeah. So like a number of people have maybe their spouses to rely on.
Sure.
Like I had a number of colleagues and supervisors who told me their story, and they were like, yeah, and like my husband. And I'm just like,
yeah.
I don't have that.
Yeah.
Like how am I gonna make it?
It's a totally different, it's a different situation.
And what it cost me was my retirement. What it cost me was several $1,000s of credit card debt that required me to file bankruptcy, or not required. I made the choice.
Sure.
Because I wanted to, again, balance the scale. Like there was a version of me that was so financially literate to have that much credit card access. And I'm thankful for
Yeah.
her, because if I didn't work on my credit in my younger 20s, I wouldn't have had it to utilize to survive in my later 20s.
Yes, that's a great perspective.
But am I bringing this into my 30s and beyond? No, leave me alone. Leave me
Yeah.
alone. It's there for a
Yeah.
reason. That literally, I can't help that folks decided to lobby and make bankruptcy protection a law. All I know is I have a right to
Yes, you do. Right.
it. So
You're right.
there's that. But because I had to, almost like an armadillo, like I am scared.
Mhm.
So I'm rolling, peeking my little nose out to do my little homework, and then I'm rolling, I'm doing my little sessions, and then I'm rolling. I'm scared shitless.
Yeah.
And I'm calling in that in this season, I get to just be.
Yes.
Like, I am exactly what I prayed for. I prayed for the ability to work for myself. And I didn't know how. I just wanted to work for myself because I felt like my neurodivergency wasn't allowing for my social success in the workplace. Like, I couldn't get beyond why I have to go to dinner to get ahead when work is from 9 to 5. Why do I have to socialize till 8 and I don't want to talk to y'all because I don't like y'all.
Yeah.
And why schmooze? I had a coworker that said, "Oh, I love the schmooze." How do you even feel that? I hate small talking. I hate it's so nonsensical to me. I hate it. And like coming from living in the north to coming down south where everybody does the like how you doing? I'm fine. And like I'll get down with that.
Yeah.
I'll assimilate
Yeah.
there. If that's what we do in the grocery store, that's what we do in the grocery
Yeah.
store. Not also doing it at
Right.
work. You pay me 40 hours a week. Why do I have to give you 50?
Yeah.
Because that is like, you don't have a personal connection with me. Why does your personal connection with me have to do anything with what I can do and what I can produce for the job? And I just found myself not doing well.
Yeah.
Like, intelligence, out the park. Accuracy, precision, innovation, creativity, all of that. But socially, I'm spent.
Yeah.
And I think I'm coming off extroverted, right?
Mhm.
But I'm a very choosy extrovert. When I'm excited about something, I will ramble. When I don't, and when I'm just not even interested, and also when I also feel like you're personally violating me by not taking care of me as your employee, I'm having a hard time justifying why I got to go to dinner with you.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I also struggle with insomnia.
Yeah.
So like, you think it's okay to be out till 10 and we got to get up at 6 tomorrow. I need to go to bed at 4 p.m. and we're still here.
Yeah.
And so I prayed for the chance to just be in my own little bubble and be well and like do my really good work that I feel so passionate about. And like, that allows me to not feel micromanaged.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, I'll never forget as an intern, I'm being supervised, right? But there are a number of checkpoints before you can even touch a human.
Yeah. Yeah. And
being in a new kind of environment, I'm looking for reassurance. Like, I'm looking for are you sure I can do this? I'm not really sold. I'm trying my best, but like, you sure I can do this? And I expect it to be so micromanaged about how you do it, what you do it. I'll never forget how often I heard in my last career that because I don't have a PhD, I'm not the expert. And I'm like, when I graduated, they said the MPH was a terminal device.
Yeah.
What's the point of it being terminal?
Right.
If I still don't know? And then I'm hearing this from a medical doctor.
Oh. Okay, I shouldn't have that reaction, but yeah.
But
I
it's
roll
true.
there.
Right. And I'm hearing this from a medical doctor that's never studied public health.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah. I mean, he can believe that, but just because he says it doesn't make it true.
right. And so I say this all to say, like, to be here, I'm so grateful because there's so many times where I wanted to turn around and quit. And to be in a place where I could just do my work and make my little impact and live fully, I'm grateful for after years of curling. And I feel like I'm uncurling.
Yeah.
My goal when I was in grad school to graduation, and I told my therapist this and we cried together. I wanted to not feel frozen
Yeah.
anymore. And at graduation, I didn't. Like, I was there fully.
That's beautiful.
And even though I wasn't frozen anymore, there was still more for me to work on.
Always.
And now I'm
Always.
just making sure that this version of me, even though I do want to be mama,
Yep.
I do. This version of me lives out loud. Like, I have hidden for so
Yeah.
long. I have downplayed myself, my expertise, my thoughts, my contributions for so long because, like I said, when you're in a not so pleasant work environment and you're not doing work that fills your
Yeah.
soul, and then it can really embed in your psyche and it can really kind of change how you see yourself. Um, and I think kind of going back to what you mentioned about like needing to choose it to as an act for me as an act of self-care, but like the transgressions, I suppose, like within the field, and it's like to do public health well, you have to love it. And it has to come from your
Yeah.
soul. It cannot just be something that you just check
No.
off because you're executing the program.
No. Yeah.
That's not where innovation comes from. That's not where sustainability comes
Yeah.
from. That's where maybe fidelity comes from.
Right. Right. Right.
But just because we've been doing it like that since 1970 don't mean in 2020 we got to do it the same way. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. We got what's the point of research?
Yeah.
What's the point of knowledge
Yep.
if we're not
We
using
get
it?
to move forward. We get to move forward.
And so I'm so grateful.
I am so grateful for you for coming on to the podcast. I appreciate your vulnerability to share about this journey that you've had and the challenges, and also, the challenges and the wins, right? Like,
Yeah. And I still sit with the possibility. Like, I don't think public health is done. I just think, we're on season. There's due change on the horizon. But I still believe in the work, and
for sure.
I look forward. I remember when I was doing like COVID health equity work that we did a project on primary, secondary, and tertiary like outcomes.
Yeah.
And I remember being so intrigued by like what we decided tertiary would be like the societal impact of social distancing, like connection, belonging, community, and well-being. And I think as a society, we are still healing from that time.
Yeah.
Particularly, I see it in my caseload.
For sure.
And I am staying hopeful, staying optimistic, staying vigilant.
Yes.
That we'll bounce back better than ever.
Yeah.
And I like to see more of mental health included. It's like it's there, it's acknowledged, like 8 dimensions of wellness. Of course your emotional well-being is included, but I think there could be some work on blending what we know as a clinician to psychoeducation programs for the public. So one good example of that is mental health first aid.
Yeah.
However, I would like to see it go a little further now that, and when I was in school, the APA or APHA, APHA, yes. all the letters are starting to get confusing now. But the APHA had not released a statement that racism was a public health problem yet. And like, I remember saying this to my advisor, and she was like, I don't recommend you do your research on that. And I'm like, but nevertheless, I like for more statements and more crossover, because if racism is a public health problem per the APHA, right? They've made that statement. Then that means it's causing health disparities. It's causing harm. And that also means that there's an opportunity for programming that eradicates that or improves that. And as much as I am thankful for the time in 2020 with all the racial justice programming, really well intended. Really, really, well intended, I suppose. I think there's much to be said about complex trauma, complex PTSD. And like that inherently, if you even look at all of like what includes complex PTSD, that is health disparities. That is social determinants of health.
Yes. Agreed.
It's complex when I got trauma because I lived in a neighborhood where we were being constantly surveilled, and I grew up mistrusting certain groups. And so every time I come across certain groups, I get this shock to my system. My nervous system is on edge. That is those are,
and then it's like layer, right? Like layer.
Absolutely. And then when I think about, okay, well, if there's all this flooding to my nervous system, there has to be a metabolic impact. And then when I look at the data that says that there are health disparities of heart disease within the Black community, but I also think about our very unique experience of trauma.
Of course.
Let's discuss it. And I particularly think a lot about triple P. I never did that work, but I always found it to be interesting. Like the triple positive parenting, I think.
I don't know that I know what that is.
Is it triple P? Positive parenting.
Okay.
I can't remember. I think I had a colleague who did it, and it was like, I don't want to reduce her work, but it was parenting is what I took away from it. Like parenting education, how like inform people on how to like ensure that your child is like a well-rounded individual. And I just want to go on record to say it might just be that I just made that up, but I don't think that I did, because I remember the PPP. I remember those letters. So
we'll fact check that for you.
Grace. It's been a long time since I've thought about this stuff. But when I think about programs like that, or even just like think about your community health center, right? Who provides maybe financial literacy courses and the diabetes prevention and the heart. You got the community vans that are checking for blood pressure and all of that stuff, right? So there's already this like mechanism in its vehicle that like takes this information and realizes that they have to synthesize it for the general public that doesn't have that same level of like context knowledge, right? And I'm of the belief, and I don't know if I believe this because of public health or because I also am a professor, maybe both. I'm gonna just go ahead and say both, because public health is so much ingrained in me. But I don't believe you really understand or know something until you can teach it to a kindergartner. Because sometimes, and I love it. I hold the privilege that I have to be an educated woman. However, the words that we use sometimes, we don't need all these letters and syllables to get the point across. And I feel strongly about that. So much so that I have every intention on making sure that my dissertation is on an 8th grade reading level. As much as I can. It should be easily translatable to another language, particularly Spanish, because I am Afro-Latina. And if there is already this vehicle that like synthesizes information and gets it to the public, then, and it's based on data that says this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem. And again, public health are the fixers. We need to recognize that there's a problem with experiencing trauma. And there is some responsibility, there is some agency, there is some opportunity to be more informed from a trauma-informed lens in the public health space. Does that make sense? I'm really trying to blend it here.
Yeah.
I'm really
No,
trying.
you are. Totally. Yes. I think it makes a lot of
But I'm trying to
sense.
convey.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
And I would like I just would like for there to be more knowledge around ACEs.
Yeah.
What to do to prevent ACEs, the impact of ACEs, and not just the general graphics, but like the ACEs, the children who have ACEs are eventually, the goal is for them to become an adult.
Right. Yes.
But then now we're seeing the dysfunctional adult.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's some opportunity to blend the gap.
Yeah.
There.
I love that.
And so that's what I see for public health and a lot more collective care.
Yeah.
I think we have really gotten besides ourselves with how isolated we've become as a community, as a collective. And I'm just of the belief that not only are we better together, but like as a human, we're innately designed to be in community with one another.
Agreed.
And so seeing more collective liberation work, I would love to see.
Yeah. There's a lot. Yeah. Yeah. I just want to like breathe into it. I mean, because there's Keylynne, I am really grateful for you coming on, and I want to make sure that our listeners know how they can connect with you. You have such a unique perspective, I think, as a public health person, right? As a person who sees through that public health lens. And so I want people to know how they can connect with you. So what is the best way?
Yeah, so you can connect with me as an individual through LinkedIn.
Great.
Through my name. It's pretty unique, so you should be able to
Okay,
find
yes,
me.
I will then. I will put that in the show notes, on the show notes page, so people can click directly to you.
And then my personal website is my first name, Keylynne.com.
Okay.
I love to do speaking engagements, other podcast episodes, all the things.
Awesome.
Just I love in the weeds and communicate with others.
Love it.
And then for my practice, if anybody's interested in trauma-informed counseling in the state of Texas, if you go to thrivebyus.org, you can elicit our work.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So we'll put all of those things in the notes. Okay. I'm so glad that we connected, and let's stay connected.
Yes, absolutely. I really appreciate your invitation. Like I said, I'm so grateful for you to lead with bringing my full self, because that made me feel safe. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Yes, it's so welcome.
Sometimes courage looks like walking away from what everyone else calls success. Sometimes courage is choosing your life over your resume. And sometimes courage is rebuilding from the ground up, not because you wanted to start over, but because your survival demanded it. Keylynne Matos-Cunningham reminds us that breakdowns are not failures, they are thresholds. Her journey from burnout and workplace trauma to embodied healing and liberation shows us what becomes possible when we bet on ourselves, even when our hands are shaking. You can connect with Keylynne on LinkedIn at keylynne.com or through her counseling practice at thrivebyus.org. All of these links are available in the show notes for episode 34 on our website, courageouspublichealth.com. Before you return to your day, take a minute to sign up for the weekly Courageous Public Health podcast email updates so you never miss an episode. You can do that on our website too. Again, at courageouspublichealth.com, because there are more powerful conversations to come. Thanks so much for being here. And until our next episode, stay courageous. Thank you for listening to the Courageous Public Health Podcast. Visit courageouspublichealth.com to find the show notes for each episode and learn how to connect with us.